What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Ask Alex Show. Man, I am so glad you guys keep coming back and watching this show. I want to thank you guys for the consistent viewership, and I could not do this show without my co-host, Mr. Jeremy Branch. How are you doing today, Mr. Jeremy?
What's up, my friend? I'm good. We're recording a little bit early this morning,
Mhm.
and I'm here for it. I know that Avatar has been out a couple days by the time the recording goes up. I know you had a chance to see it. I don't know if it's coming up later in the show, but can you tell me, is the CGI better than the MCU Thanos?
It's definitely a question coming up in the show, but to answer
Oh,
your
okay,
question,
okay.
but no, it's a little bit differently phrased. But to answer your question, oh my god, that movie is fucking phenomenal. I mean,
All right.
it is from a visual effects standpoint, it is better than the MCU once you watch it in context. It's different. The reason why I said what we said last time on the show is because the only trailer, when you're watching trailers from a 1080p flat screen TV, it's a whole lot different when you're in a theater. And I remember you telling me earlier you're going to go see it in Dolby and Destin. I saw it in Dolby 3D here in Orlando.
Yes.
Oh my god! And I'm just gonna say those underwater scenes, or sorry, not just the underwater scenes, but the weather scenes where it's raining and the wind. Oh my god! James Cameron literally put Pandora in those theaters, and it only works, in my opinion, if you're gonna watch it in IMAX 3D
Good.
or Dolby Premiere or Dolby Premiere 3D. I think that's how you have to watch that film. So when you watch it, I'm sure you're gonna be blown away, at least visually.
I'm gonna hit you up afterwards. I can't believe it. This is the first time in my life I've been to the movie theater at 8 a.m. There's a 8 a.m. Dolby screening in the morning. It's a 3 hour and 20-minute long. Did you make it all the way through with having a piss, or did you have to take a bathroom break?
Oh, I made it all the way through. I mean, what I try to do when I know I'm about to watch a really long movie, I eat maybe a couple hours beforehand, and then I may get a little bit of a drink, but I know I don't drink anything that's gonna make me get up and go pee. So like I made it through, but I'm not gonna lie. Once that movie ended and I found out there isn't a post-credit scene, so you
Good to
can't
know.
leave. Um, I went to the bathroom immediately because I was like, yo, I
Okay.
gotta go. Because watching all that water, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the way of water.
Exactly. And
Okay.
it's oh my god, when you watch it, like I said, it's a visual beast, man. Oh my
Okay.
god.
Cool, man.
I'm sure you would like it, and I'm sure Ian would like it. Ian couldn't be with us today, but we'll definitely try to get him on next week. We're gonna be more consistent at this. And lately we've been doing an off the top segment of this show. And honestly, the reason why I haven't did one just yet today is because there wasn't anything that was like off the top worthy. So I wanted to ask you, Jeremy, was there anything in the news that you saw aside from what we're about to jump into real quick that you wanted to talk about real quick before we jump into our main topics today?
Let me ask you this. Have you heard of Chat GPT?
Yes, I have.
Have you had a chance to use it yet?
No, I have not.
So just between me and you and
Uh-huh.
everybody watching this video, I work in the advertising business. I write ad copy for in-store audio advertising. Like whenever
Mhm.
you go into gas stations or grocery stores and you hear the
Mhm.
music and the ads overhead, that's what I'm responsible for. And sometimes you get writer's block, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes you're trying to write an ad for boneless ribeye steak and you've just done it all a million times and it's starting to feel like, how do I bring something new to this?
Yeah.
Now I go to Chat GPT and I type in boneless ribeye steak creative ad copy. Boom, submit.
Mhm.
Within about 5 seconds, I just copy it, paste it onto my document, and it has been writing ads for me for the last week, bro.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty
Wild.
cool. I mean, I heard about it on Twitter, but I was just like, this is like a probably like just like a scam. You have to pay like $5 to use. Kind of
It's
like,
free.
oh wow. Cause it's kind of like
Yeah.
how Lenza, like everyone's posting those Lenza photos, and I'm thinking it's free. It's not. But
No.
I'm glad you brought that up because now I may use that if I want to advertise certain things. By the way, speaking of advertisements, there will be advertisements on the Ask Alex show and other videos
Yes. All right. That's excellent, man.
going into the new year. So I can't wait to announce those things. It's gonna be dope. But
Congratulations.
oh, thank you, bro.
So the other day I was doing a podcast and I had it write the intro. The podcast was about Chat GPT, the Pornhub search results for 2022 according to State, which I thought was hilarious, and then the top horror movies of the year. So I said, write me a podcast intro for these things, and this is artificial intelligence. Welcome to the spookiest, steamiest podcast of the year. We're talking Chat GPT, Pornhub search results, and the top horror movies of the year. So forget Star Wars and Marvel for a few hours. It's time to get down and dirty with Chat GPT, Pornhub, and horror. Let the screams begin. That's pretty good, right?
That's actually pretty good because screens can mean so many different things.
That's a good point, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So, screaming out of horror.
So I guess let me ask you this, man. As a creative type, do you feel threatened by the future of technology that just anybody can make YouTube videos, anybody can make podcast intros, anybody can make portraits? What do you think, man? Is it going to put a lot of people out of work? Do you think we'll just learn to adapt? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm actually inspired in those things because like it makes me want to step my game up. Because I know we were talking about earlier, you know, you were just showing me earlier how to edit and innovate my own video. And my thing is if someone can do something at a simpler way and you already know how to do stuff from a technical side, a little bit more different and more difficult, just merging those two things made, you know, for me, just merge those two things can make you better as a content creator. Now I will say this, it can be frustrating when you have someone doing it very simple and they blow up on like YouTube or TikTok and you're like, I've been doing this shit for years and I've blown up
so much work in.
Exactly. Like I'm like, what the fuck? But at the same time, I look at it like, you know, every person's time will come, you know. So like, you know, gradually once you find your lane in something, you'll be building. Even with this show, like we just started in 2022, gradually growing organically in numbers on YouTube alone. And I started this experiment like maybe 3 weeks ago where I said, okay, I'm gonna do the Ask Alex show and I'm just gonna let my subscribers watch the show. Let me not share it. And every day I'm looking at my analytics, it's going from 5 views to then 10 views and to 15 views and then 40 views. And then I'm getting new subscribers. So
That's great.
I'm just like, when I look at stuff like that, it makes me more, it pushes me to be greater in a sense instead of more like, well, what the fuck. But I will say though, when services like that do happen and then someone uses it for like the first time and then they go viral, I'm like, really?
Yeah. I agree with you though. I think you got the right outlook on this because I feel like if you reject technology, that's like an earmark of getting old. If you say, I don't get what's going on, I don't embrace it, well, then you're just going to get left in a cloud of dust. So while I do find it a little bit threatening to, because dude, you can ask it to write apps for you. I said, make me a werewolf game where you eat people, and it gave me the code to do it. Oh, it's wild. So anyways, I say that to say it can potentially put a lot of people out of work, but innovation will always prevail and technology will always happen. So if you can find a way to utilize those tools while also bringing a human element to it, because you and I, what we do here, while artificial intelligence could approximate that, it can't be you and it can't be me. So that's what we will always be able to bring to the table.
Right. And I always look at it like with artificial intelligence needs a human to guide it in a sense.
Yeah.
Without any humans, it can't really adapt.
That's right.
And that's my thing. Like you made a good point. Like artificial intelligence isn't me, and it isn't Jeremy. We're two different things, different people that can outscale artificial intelligence. So I think at one point, we'll get past the hump. I mean, it takes me back to Charlie and the chocolate factory, where all those factory workers went out of work because of new technology. But then who's gonna fix it? And then they brought those same workers out of work back to work to
That's
fix
right.
the technology that put them
Yes.
out of work. So ultimately, there's always going to be a cause and effect when new things are introduced. So that's how I kind of look at those things.
Cool,
But
man.
real quick, I'm gonna send you one more invite, and we're gonna jump right into the show.
Okay.
All right. All right, we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1. But now that we've gotten all of our off the tops out of the way, if you want your topic or question on this show, it's very simple, guys. Just send me an email at the theaskalexshow at gmail.com. That's the askalex at gmail.com. If you submit your topic or question, more than likely it will definitely be answered on the show. If I can't answer on the show, you guys know I will directly reply back to you through that email. I've done it multiple times with the multiple questions that I've gotten over the years. And I want to also thank the organic viewership and also the new subscribers who keep watching our content as we continue to grow. I'm sure that you guys will love all the other stuff that we keep putting out on this channel. And I do appreciate you guys for watching the Ask Alex show and everything else that I'm putting out. So I do appreciate it. And if you guys cannot watch this show later on today, it will be posted on Spotify. You can listen to the audio version of it. Every time I upload an episode of Ask Alex Show, at the same time, the audio version is uploaded on Spotify. So you can go to Spotify, type in the Ask Alex Show, and you'll see a list of all the episodes plus the interviews that I've done on Spotify. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the first question of the day. And this is one of the questions that we kind of addressed at the last episode of Ask Alex, which I can't wait to hear Jeremy's opinion on now. So this question comes from a Marcus Brown, and Mr. Marcus writes, "Hey guys, so it looks like the reports about Patty Jenkins were sort of false about her storming out of WB after they rejected her script. It still looks like she still will work with WB on Wonder Woman 3 sometime in the future. But does this change your outlook on Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 project?" Well, thank you for your question, Marcus. So, on the last Ask Alex show, I don't normally do instant replays, but for this episode, I may just drop it in. So we'll do the instant replay.
It's so good to know as YouTubers that we can put aside our ideological differences. We can put aside our race, our religion, and all that, and just come together as men and shit on Patty Jenkins. You know what I'm saying?
Patty, I am not shitting on you.
I'm not either. I love Wonder Woman. That's why I hate Wonder Woman 84 so much, because the first one was so good. That's why I'm so pissed off about it.
A lot of people don't like Wonder Woman 84. Ian likes it less. You know what I mean? I don't think.
Very true.
I don't think I've ever met anybody, and I think it sucks personally. I don't think I've ever met anybody who thinks Wonder Woman 84 is worse than Ian, and I love him for it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. First of all, a lot of this is we're living in the realm of speculation, like James Gunn said. A lot of this stuff they haven't even decided on yet. Humberto Gonzalez, who was the creator of Heroic Hollywood, who's big in the film gossip space, he published an article that basically said Patty Jenkins went to the current executives of Warner Brothers, turned in a script. They looked at it. They said they didn't like it, and asked her to basically revise it. Hey, we don't really like this version of the script or this take where you're going in the direction with the character. She said, basically, I don't know what you're talking about, stormed out of the office and forwarded these executives the definition of what a character arc is. And that's wild. That's what they said. I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, I read that report, but I'm hoping that's not true. But go ahead.
Hey, rumor has it Chris Pine was going to come back from the dead again.
Okay, now if you saw the instant replay, we talked about on the show where we were basically saying that her writing was called into question at Warner Brothers, and there were reports saying that she stormed out of the office, that she basically said, you guys don't know what real filmmaking is about, or character development, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. Now, mind you, when you saw the instant replay, Jeremy did bring that up, but I also said I'm hoping that's not true. And also keep in mind, we were reading the report that came out. Now, Warner Brothers never said that. That was just what was in the report that was being reported out of Warner Brothers, or insiders in Warner Brothers. A lot of that was hearsay. So Patty Jenkins got on Twitter and basically put a long post out describing how she's had nothing but good experiences at Warner Brothers. Everyone there, including the new staff there, have been nothing but have opened their arms to her. She did not storm out. She did not act like a quote unquote difficult person leaving the office. So basically, that report that came out from Variety was essentially half true. Yes, they did deny her script, but she did not storm out. Now, to answer your question, does that change my view on Patty Jenkins's Wonder Woman 3 project if we were to get a Wonder Woman 3, or Patty Jenkins as a whole? Let me just say this. As a creator myself, I consider myself an artist, a director, a filmmaker. I wouldn't want somebody or a news publication or even a studio saying that I did something when I know for a fact I did not do it.
Yeah, that'd be frustrating.
I would not want that. Like, I would, like, if I know for a fact I did not do something, I think she had every right to come out and say what she said. And I think that it would have meant more if the studio, Warner Brothers, backed up that statement. Now, James Gunn did tweet and say, all of his experiences and meetings with Patty Jenkins have been nothing but great and professional. We have a great working relationship in regards to the creative vision for DC. So, and by the way, I will say James Gunn has been debunking and acknowledging a lot of things on Twitter, which we'll definitely get into in the next topic, which I think is kind of good and also problematic to a certain extent. But I will say, if it were me, I would have came out and said, if I didn't do this, I did not do this. This is not me. This is not who I am. All of my experiences at Warner Brothers have been nothing but positive. With that being said, am I looking forward to Wonder Woman 3? Hell no, I am not. I'm not. And I'm not saying that because I don't like Patty Jenkins. No, Patty Jenkins is a phenomenal filmmaker. But I have to go back to the first Wonder Woman movie was not written by her. She just directed it. So, and again, I don't want to compare like one or the other does not matter. No, they both matter, her writing and directing. But the first Wonder Woman movie was set up in a way where all she had to do was direct that script and direct those characters to tell that particular story. Even though a lot of that was her vision, but that screenplay was not her writing. Wonder Woman 84 was a full introduction of how she saw the character, how she wrote the character, and how she directed the character.
That's right.
And my thing is, and I'm not saying she's a bad director, my thing is, if she's going to continue that same type of narrative for Wonder Woman 3, there's a reason why Peter Safran and James Gunn and the people at Warner Brothers said, maybe we need to revise this. That's the reason why I'm kind of like, if she was continuing on that same character drive with those characters from the last film, then I'm like, no. And I love Gal Gadot. I think Gal Gadot is an amazing actress and does an amazing portrayal as Wonder Woman. But as we'll get into the next topic, I think they should just scrap Wonder Woman 3 if they do choose to go for it or not. And I think they should just reboot the whole Wonder Woman franchise. So, Jeremy, you heard this news. What do you think about Patty Jenkins basically standing up for herself, saying that, yes, my script was scrapped, but I did not just walk out and storm out of Warner Brothers? And also, are you looking forward to Wonder Woman 3 if they choose to move forward with her at Warner Brothers?
First of all, I just want to give a big thank you to Warner Brothers, DC Studios, for giving us years and years of things to talk about every single episode. Man, it's wild. So yeah, we had a big conversation about things that were not necessarily 100% accurate. One of the big takeaways that I had last week is that I thought it was irresponsible or a bit shallow of Patty Jenkins to walk away without revising her script. I said script rewrites happen all the time. The fact that she was so committed to her vision that she wasn't willing to take notes just seemed petty Jenkins.
Yes.
So that didn't turn out. According to Patty Jenkins, that wasn't exactly the case. According to Patty Jenkins, they weren't going to be able to finish the project in the time frame. They weren't going to be able to move forward with it at this time because of all of the things going on at Warner Brothers DC, but she said it was amicable. She also goes on to explain why she was no longer attached to Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which actually tied directly into the production of Wonder Woman 3. So I feel for her. I feel like Warner Brothers and James Gunn specifically is in a position right now where he's not only going to hurt some of the fans, as we see with the Restore Snyderverse, fire James Gunn, boycott Warner Brothers, things that are going on right now within the fandom. Granted, that's not a huge percentage of people, but it's a very vocal minority.
It is.
We exist in a space where we have to see that crap all the time. But what is even more unfortunate is that he's going to have to go to these phenomenal filmmakers, actors, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about it shortly, and basically sever connections with them on the current iterations. Now, the PR guy in James Gunn is telling your Jason Momoas, your Patty Jenkins, your Gal Gadot's, like, I want to continue to work with you. So specifically about this Wonder Woman thing, I agree with what you said. Patty Jenkins showed us her interpretation of Wonder Woman with Wonder Woman 84. And I feel that Linda Carter and the Wonder Woman television show was what was first and foremost in Patty Jenkins' love for this character. So we got a live action feature of the 1970s television series that didn't really service a lot of the fans of the first movie or a lot of the dedicated fans to the comic books. This is a very specific vision, and I don't think that that worked. But what's unfortunate is that Patty, as a woman, is being singled out in this conversation and being made to look difficult, because if there's one thing that we've learned through just years of social conditioning, if a man stands up for himself, then they're a man. If a woman stands up for herself, then she's a bitch, and they're trying to make Patty look like a bitch, and I don't think that's really the case. Of course her feelings are going to be hurt, and she's going to feel frustrated that she invested so much time and effort into shepherding this this property to essentially just be let go at the end. So I want to backtrack on the things I said last week and say that it's just a shame for her and for, you know, so many people involved that the plans that they had, they don't matter anymore, I don't think. So I'll hold off more thoughts for the next topic.
Oh, definitely. And I also want to point out something, like, guys, me, Jeremy, and Ian, we were reacting to what was reported. So when Jeremy says I backtrack and things that he says, keep in mind, and me too, because I said some things too. Me too. We're going by reliable sources, like
these were trades. Yes.
Yeah. These were trades. This was not we got this covered. You know what I mean? This was not fandom fart. Like, no, this was Variety, Deadline, and they were basically saying all of this stuff. So 9 times out of 10, if we're reacting to something, it's because of what was reported. Now, we to our credits, we did say we don't know. I even said I hope this is not true, and I'm glad it wasn't. But at the same time, we're going by what was reported. But what do you guys think about Patty Jenkins stepping up for herself and saying, "Hey, my script was cut, but I did not storm out"? What do you think about her approach? Did you read her full tweet, and did you read the tweets from James Gunn? Just jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And this is kind of the next topic is kind of somewhat of a reoccurring story that's been going on in the news, but also somewhat breaking news as well. Hey guys, so the wheels are in motion. Oh wait, this question comes from Miss Jasmine Wilson, a new comer on the show.
Awesome.
And she writes, "Hey guys, So the wheels are in motion. James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to reboot the DCEU with Henry Cavill gone. What other projects do you think will continue or get cut from the DCEU?
We're on the same page about this, I bet. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Oh man, we are. So thank you for your question, Jasmine. So this is the reason why I say this is a little bit of a breaking news. So me and Jeremy were planning on doing the show Sunday. I'm like normally just for our schedules because I am off today and tomorrow. But the reason why I wanted to do it Sunday is because earlier today, this morning around 6 a.m., I got a call from one of my friends who actually does work in marketing at Warner Brothers. He works at marketing for the whole studio, so not just DC, not just the prestigious films, that whole studio. So from TV to all the other stuff, he helps marketing this stuff. He called me and told me, "Yo, you're probably going to hear about this maybe in the next couple of days, but certain other YouTubers and insiders have reported it. But Static Shock and all of the milestone characters that they were developing, at least for film and TV, all of those films and shows have been canceled. They are not a part of James Gunn's plan." So this morning I tweeted James Gunn, since he likes responding to fans. I tweeted him, which I'll post it on the screen. I was like, basically to summarize, hey James, is Static Shock or any of the milestone characters a part of your DC plan? Now I've yet to get a response from James Gunn, but from what I'm being told, they're going to continue Static as terms of his comic book run, which is not, which is, I guess, substantial to an extent. But as far as developing him any further outside of that comic book, Milestone is not going to do it. And Michael B. Jordan reportedly, apparently, is probably leaving that project pretty soon, as far as we know. Now, that's what I was told this morning. But to get into the topic, with that's the reason why I wanted to bring that up in terms of things that are being canceled. But to bring in the topic that Jasmine asked, with Henry Cavill gone, what other projects are going to be kept or greenlit, and what do I think about them fully resetting the DCEU? Earlier this week, we got a report that the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman could be considered in the new DCEU, but James Gunn shot that down. Here's my take on it. I'm glad Henry Cavill is gone. And I hate saying that, as like, I'm not trying to be contrarian. I'm glad he's gone because although I do wish he could have gotten more of a shake, his particular Superman does not make sense for whatever DCEU they're trying to start up. Also, keep in mind, I don't even really believe the reports that Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo. I mean, he might, but I if they are going to fully reboot, which it looks like that they are, I don't see us getting any more of the Zack Snyderverse films after that last film, which could be either Aquaman, Shazam, or Flash. I think Flash is probably going to be the movie to reset everything. This is the way to go. Listen, DC has been giving us, for lack of a better word, crap and some gems here and there. And for me personally, one of the biggest gems that they've had out of everything out of the DCEU, and I hate saying it like this, but has been two movies that weren't even in the DCEU, which were the Batman and the Joker movie. Two movies that had nothing to do with the DCEU. I'm not saying that all of the films in that franchise were trash. I did like Man of Steel, and I did like Shazam, and I did like the first Wonder Woman. But this is what needed to be done. I don't believe they're keeping any projects. I think after the Zack Snyder stuff is done, that's it. I think Shazam's going to get recast. I think Wonder Woman's going to get recast. Aquaman. I think the whole slate of characters that we've been introduced to are going to definitely be recast. Ezra Miller's definitely going to be recast.
For what?
So, and also keep in mind, this was a studio that had the gall to make a fucking Batgirl movie, which makes no sense. I disagree with them making a Blue Beetle movie because Blue Beetle is don't get me wrong, Blue Beetle is a prominent character, and I think there should definitely be representation for our Latino superheroes. I completely agree. But if you're going to make a Blue Beetle movie, where does it fit? If we're going to talk about making a 10-year plan for their DCU universe, how does that movie fit into that plan? And me personally, Blue Beetle's not even a Justice League member. He's a Teen Titan, which makes no sense that he's getting his own movie. So at the end of the day, I think this is the right move. I think, and I don't want to seem like I'm harping on the fact that people got fired and that's a good thing. No, I think people got fired and they're getting more opportunities. Apparently, Henry Cavill's got a new Amazon project lined up for him, so he's going to be fine. And then I believe Gal Gadot will find more work. You never know; she might get brought back into the Fast and Furious franchise. Who knows? Like, because no one ever dies from there. So for me personally, this is a good move. And also with Static Shock and the Milestone characters, I am disappointed that we're not going to get those films. However, maybe this is a good thing because we're probably going to see something different from James Gunn and Peter Safran. So, Jeremy, what do you think about the biggest reset that's going to be happening in the next couple of years? And also, I wanted to ask, they're going to be focusing on a younger Superman. So, what do you think about them getting rid of Henry Cavill, and what do you think of them? Think about James Gunn focusing on a younger Superman and them building a new DC universe around that particular Superman, and also introducing new characters within the DCEU.
So James Gunn has announced that what he's trying to do with Peter Safran is come up with a 10-year blueprint, something that's going to sustain the universe for 10 years. I'm in agreement with Alex about the fact that they're probably going to have to wipe the slate clean in order to start back over again. That means the obvious candidates, your Ben Affleck Batman, your Henry Cavill Superman, your Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, your Jason Momoa Aquaman, your Ezra Miller Flash. I think that is a given. Does it also mean your Margot Robbie Harley Quinn? Does it also mean your John Cena Peacemaker? Because Peacemaker was a stellar show. It got one season, and I think it's pretty universally well received.
Yeah, I love Peacemaker.
To add a little bit more conflict to that, severing ties with that project, James Gunn's wife is one of the leads of that series. So that's got to be a tough conversation to have.
Wife, you're fired.
Yeah. So I feel like you have to get rid of them. I feel like you can't pick and choose, because James Gunn brought in some great Suicide Squad members, including the ones that I just now mentioned. And I think it's a shame that they have to go. But you can't show the preferential treatment and be like, I'm getting rid of everything except for what I've done, because there's always going to be that issue of the hanger-ons remind us of the old regime. So you got to get rid of all of it, which means that Shazam doesn't matter. It means that Aquaman, whatever, Atlantis doesn't matter. Kingdom of Atlantis. What it does present is a unique opportunity for Flash to be the most important movie in the DC Studios canon by adapting Flashpoint in such a way that it does a reset at the end, and everything as we know it has changed. Maybe it introduces this new iteration of Clark Kent, and we're off to the races. This is the end of the old and the beginning of the new, and everything does matter. It's just all changed now.
Right.
So I feel like that's a cool way to handle this. I do feel like me and you are on the same page. They got to wipe the slate clean. Henry Cavill's working on a Warhammer series, but he's not going to be Superman anymore. Somebody tweeted James Gunn to ask if Batman was an important part of the DC universe, to which he replied, yes. My initial thought was, I don't like that. And I love the Batman. I think it is arguably the best Batman movie we've ever had. Robert Pattinson is a fantastic Batman. I think you leave him be, which I believe is what they're planning on doing.
Yeah. I think that tweet is in regards to Batman as a character, not the actual Batman movie.
Agreed. And that it took me a minute to realize, like, yeah, Batman the character is important. So when you build a universe around Superman, you're already introducing superpowers, alien technology. You could maybe work magic into it. You can get all of the fantastical stuff that the DC broader universe includes without contradicting anything that's came prior. Where if you try to use Pattinson's Batman, you got a problem because that world exists so close to our own. That it would be weird to see that kind of stuff. So it leads me to the ultimate question. And I'm an older dude now. I am familiar with some younger actors, but not a whole lot. Who is Superman?
That's a good question. If I had to choose, God, that's actually a really good question. If I had to choose, it would probably be, and we're talking younger.
The only name that I could pull, and I don't think it's a great fit, but I could see him pulling off Clark Kent very well, is Asa Butterfield, who is 25 years old, but looks a little bit younger. He's not near muscular enough, but you just shoot him with enough HGH, get him to start training with the Liver King.
Yeah.
He could be big in no time. But that also just comes from a lack of me being aware of a lot of the younger actors that probably appear in CW shows and different series that are just skew a little younger. The first name that came to my mind was Timothy Chalamet, but that's a terrible fit. I just know who that is. You know what I mean?
That was the first one that came, but I thought about it. I was like, nah, I don't really see. I can see him as Superman, but not Clark Kent.
And and Asa Butterfield, I could see with the glasses on, playing a good nerdy Clark Kent journalist, and then maybe there's a bit of a Henry Cavill is so good looking that he's a great Superman that you throw nerd glasses on him. He's still the hottest dude in the fucking room. So like him as Clark Kent was a little silly, I thought. So while I did think he was a great Superman, he had a hard time pulling off the Clark thing. And that's kind of an interesting thing about Superman in the first place, is that his dual identity is just a dude in glasses instead of a dude in a cape. And I'm not wild about Superman. So building a universe off of a character that I don't particularly care for, I'm not all that stoked about it. However, I know there are millions and millions of people who are very excited about it. So I do think this is the way to go.
I mean, I'm excited about it now that I think about it. I'm thinking, because I remember reading Superman comics, and here's the thing: Superman is a very hard character to relate to, but there was a comic I read, I can't remember what it was called specifically, where Clark Kent is working at the Daily Bugle, and he's a young guy, but he's Superman. By the Daily Bugle, he's not respected at all. Like, Lois Lane looks through him. His colleagues are like, oh, who's this newbie? Like, he's not going to break a story. He's like, he was looked upon as some guy, kind of like Peter Parker at the Daily Bugle.
Sure.
Like, and like they had the duality, but when he became Superman, he was loved by Metropolis. I can't wait to see what they do with the new iteration of the DCEU. So if they're going to do a new Superman movie with the younger Superman, I would love them focus on the duality of being Clark Kent and Superman, that struggle. But also, I want to see them explore different character movies. Like, instead of getting a Batman movie right off the bat, let's get a Green Arrow movie, or let's get other Justice Leaguers that are not our main Trinity. But at the same time, let's get our Trinity fixed first at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but what do you guys think about James Gunn resetting the DCEU? What do you think about Henry Cavill losing his job? And what do you also think about Static Shock no longer in development in a film space or any of the milestone characters? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the final topic of today. And the final topic comes from one of my co-workers, Mr. Keith Beers. And he writes, Hey guys, it looks like Avatar: The Way of the Water will crush the box office this weekend. With all the hype surrounding it, do you think it will surpass the first film? What are you guys' thoughts? Thank you for your question, Mr. Keith. So at the top of the show, we kind of already mentioned that Jeremy has not seen the movie, but he's actually going to go see the movie tomorrow morning. Which, by the way, good luck to you because I've never seen a movie early in the
It's an
morning. That's
early morning.
like I've never done that before. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna put that on my bucket list. Um, I'm surprised they even opened that early,
Same.
but then again, it's Destin, so it's a tourist city. So, and I miss Destin so much. But anyway, I saw Avatar: The Way of Water Thursday night. It was a late screening too. It was around like 8 o'clock. I went to go see it at the Altamont Theater, and it was a Dolby 3D. Now, going into it, let me just be honest with you guys. Going into it, I wasn't necessarily skeptical, but I was going into it with the eyes of, okay, it's going to be just like the first movie, probably times 10. Yo, I don't know if anyone has ever felt like they were submersed in a film before, but the moment you enter Pandora and you see Jake Sully, his wife and his kids, how they have gone on life after the first movie, just to see the textures of the Navi, to see the environment, the new world that they have built. I felt like I was breathing that air. Oh my God. It was James Cameron. In a way, Jedi mind tricks you into thinking, if you're really paying attention, thinking that you are in Pandora following the story of this. And like the creatures and the animals look so refined and so cool. And the way they set up the story is actually really interesting. And I won't go into to spoilers because, like I said, Jeremy hasn't seen it, but it is a good film about family and what you're willing to do to protect your family. And the fact that you get introduced to another tribe of the Navi, where they basically allude to there are other tribes of Navi who tonally look different. Their body structure looks different. Even Jake Sully's Navi, they say that he's not the same Navi as his wife. They make him an outcast because, and this is not really a spoiler. Jake Sully's Navi has 5 fingers. His wife has 4 fingers. So he's not a purebred. He's a what they call a demon bred. So his kids are a mixture of both. So when they go visit these different tribes and stuff, they kind of call that stuff out. And they're like, you're one of us, but you're not one of us. That dynamic that they had to deal with was so impactful. And then you go underwater. And I'm like, okay, we recently went underwater with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Great underwater shots that seem more from a realistic standpoint. Oh my God. I wish Aquaman would have adopted what James Cameron did, because the creatures are so unreal, they look real.
Oh wow.
The whales, the fish, the wildlife underwater, how the Navi are able to breathe and transition their bodies underwater while using underwater animals that fly and also utilize the water as their own like launching pad. It is a cinematic feast about family and what you're willing to do for your family, and also the sins of a past life coming back to haunt you. James Cameron not only did an amazing job telling a visual story, but an amazing story that backs up the visual effects. Now, my biggest fear was getting into the movie is that we were going to be so enamored by the visual effects, the story was going to be trash. Like, we're going to be like, it was so visually great, but I didn't really like the story. For me, that was not the case. I really love the story and I love the effects to back it up. There are some parts where it does lag. I will point that out, where you kind of like, okay, we could, move it along here. But from a visual standpoint, from a story standpoint, it is on par. And I think that's the reason why we call James Cameron the GOAT. He knows what he's talking about. I disagree with his opinions about Marvel films and comic book films, but I will say this. I think James Cameron, if he really wanted to, I guess, further the culture of filmmaking, I think he should, share what he knows to these other filmmakers who want to create their own universe. Because let's be clear, the Avatar franchise was created by one man. The Marvel Cinematic Universe was created by a multiple of people.
That's a good point.
Just think about that. Like, Avatar is a franchise now created by one person. Now, to answer your question, do I think it will surpass the first movie? Because of the fact it's 3 hours, I don't think it will, because logistically speaking, you can only have that movie on so many screens. So I think that's what's ultimately going to hurt it and help it. But then again, James Cameron is a studio alum. They're going to re-release that movie at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And trust me, that movie's not going on Disney Plus until probably like 2024. So don't expect that movie to come on Disney Plus anytime soon. But that movie was visually great. I think at some point it could potentially surpass Avatar, but the first one. But at this point, I don't think it will because of how long it is. But this is a masterpiece that one man created. I mean, obviously with the help with his creative team, but he did an amazing job. And Jeremy, I know you haven't seen the movie, but after hearing what I thought about the movie, does this excite you to go see it now? And what do you think about? How do you feel about going into witnessing this experience once you get there?
Yeah, man. I'm super hype. I'm super hype about it. What I want to propose is the opposite side of what you said, which is a really good point, is that it's going to be difficult to surpass the sales of the first film due to the fact that it's a longer runtime. I don't believe back in 2009 they were showing Avatar at 8:00 in the morning.
That's true. I don't remember that. Yeah.
So maybe the frequency of the show times will allow it to do big. Additionally, inflation there's a massive difference in ticket prices between now and back in 2009. So there's a couple aspects that are worth considering. Now, if you adjust it for inflation, I'm not real sure, but what I'm seeing here, and I remember Avatar was not a huge box office smash in the weekend that it opened up because it took a little bit of word of mouth to get people into the theaters, and it had longevity. It played for a long time on a lot of screens, and people continue to go back to see it multiple times. However, the Friday box office back in 2009 for Avatar was 26,752,000, so about 27 million. The Friday for the Thursday was 17 million. The Friday was 55 million. So it's already made $67 million in 2 days. It's probably going to have $150 million weekend, which likely puts it in the $1 billion club, which, to your point, James Cameron re-released Titanic. He re-released Avatar. This movie will get multiple theatrical runs over the next 10 to 15 years in preparation for Avatar 3, in preparation for Avatar 4. I'm curious if they're going to let Avatar and Avatar 2 play a second time in the theaters before Avatar 3.
If James Cameron is who he is, they will.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. It's really interesting to think about. So I still don't know, because it's so early on, if what we are going to get is a very front-loaded audience and that everybody that wants to see The Way of Water goes and sees it in the first weekend because they're so hype about it. And then it flatlines after that versus the original Avatar, which steadily built over time, which continued to have audiences. Will it outgross the original Avatar? I suspect in its initial theatrical run, it will make more money than Avatar did in its first theatrical run, for whatever that means. And it's not all about box office, because when you look at the critic reviews, It's about an 80%. It's a good critical reception for a movie like this. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is like a 94%. Hearing you talk about it, and it makes me realize that even if it's not a critical darling, there's something about it that's moving people. And if it is a visual spectacle, if it is kind of like an amusement park ride where you have to see it in IMAX 3D, where like you and I, we have to see it in Dolby Theater, that's going to push us back to the movie theaters at least one more time, because I will never probably watch it when it comes out on Disney Plus to stream. I agree with you. This is a movie that needs to be experienced on the biggest screen with the 3D and the best sound. And that's what James Cameron's intention always was for this movie. So I'm hyped, man. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, man. I think, if they do this with because they have the Oculus and they all PlayStation VR 2 is coming out. I would love, this would make me buy an Oculus. If they make just Pandora and Oculus, bro, sign me up right now. Like, because that's what it feels like when you put on those glasses and you see the rain and the wind, and then you hear the surround sound where you hear creatures moving. Like I said, like James Cameron knows what the fuck he's doing, because when you're in filmmaking, the first thing they tell you is attention to detail. That's a real thing, because you don't know, like you can hear certain crevices that are going on in the background of a movie that most people wouldn't pay attention to unless you were in a theater versus watching it at home. Like, could you imagine if we were still in the covert era and they had put Avatar 2 on Disney Plus? I think James Cameron would probably sue Disney. But could you imagine could you imagine we would have to watch it online? I would be so pissed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, because like it's literally robbing you from an experience. And I hope that when you do go, Jeremy, you are enamored by it. I'm pretty sure you're gonna love the visual effects and the story. Definitely hit me up once you see it. But for the people who've seen Avatar: The Way of Water, what do you guys think about the movie? Did you like the visual effects? Do you think it was stunning? Did you love the story? And do you think it will surpass the first film? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And that will do it for today's show of the Ask Alex Show. Thank you guys for continuing to watch us here on my YouTube channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where every time we get updates, we're releasing new content every day, or not every day, but every week. But also when we get into the new year, we're gonna be launching a whole lot of different stuff as well. Jeremy, where can we find you on YouTube and social media?
Check out Lucid Memory on YouTube. Check out the Pop Culture Nihilist on YouTube. Check out Jeremy G. Branch on Twitter. And shout out to Jeffrey Scott Branch. He passed away 11 years ago today. He's always in my thoughts. Shout out to Pops.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that, Jeremy.
It's all good, man. It's all good,
man. But yeah, shout out to Mr. Scott Jeffrey Scott Branch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shout out to him, man.
Thank you, man.
And, anytime, man. And definitely check out Jeremy's channel. A lot of great things that are on his channels, especially Lucid Memory and also Pop Culture Nihilist. I think a couple days ago you did a live stream, right, on Pop Culture Nihilist.
I did. It's been a while, man. My channel is just struggling. If you want to help the boy out, go over there and check it out. The live streams ain't cutting it. I need to do a video series like we're doing here, where there's a flagship show that I do week to week. Until I think of that, I just continue to see my Mortal Kombat videos are killing it. But yeah, head over there and check it out. There's always something uploaded.
Yeah, and I those shorts are actually pretty cool. By the way, I'm definitely going to get into those shorts. I don't know how. I'm just going to definitely get into this.
I feel that.
But definitely check out Jeremy's channel, and also check out Ian's channel as well. He'll definitely be putting out content in the near future as well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, you guys have a blessed day.